Goeiemorgen mensen. So today we're just going to talk about what I am going to do for my lawn's recovery coming out of winter and going into spring. Keep in mind, firstly, what region you're in, if you're in a winter rainfall region or a summer rainfall region, and you know what the outcomes of that are going to be. Do you want your lawn to be continually mowed short, mowed long, what grass type you have, what mower type you have? All these things influence what you need to be doing with your grass. And I think where a lot of people make mistakes is that they think, okay, I've got this type of grass, but I want it to look like somebody else's that I may have seen on YouTube or whatever, or my neighbor's lawn looks better than my lawn, or whatever the case is going to be. And you think, okay, my neighbor's lawn is cut really short, so I'm just going to cut my grass short as well, and it will look like his or hers. But it may be a completely different grass type. He may have been working on that for years and years and years. You can't just go and, for example, just cut your grass short and expect it to look like that. So I predominantly use kikuyu, and the kikuyu is nice and strong and resilient, but in areas of shade it's pretty crummy. So I've got alembiria under trees and that kind of thing. And in one section of my front yard where it's almost completely in shade the whole of summer, that is predominantly alembiria, but it has kikuyu in it as well. And I did it that way because the kikuyu makes it look a little bit tighter. It's more close knit, and I can cut shorter or longer and let either the alem take over or the kikuyu take over, depending on which is looking better at the time of the year. Now, to give you an idea, during winter we only had rain. On the 29th of April, we had 2 millimeters of rain, and on the 17th of June, we had 7 mils of rain. That's it. So, a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of water, and in between, I never watered at all. And I did it purposely because the past year for me, being in this house, is that I just wanted to get the grass to become as resilient as possible. I don't want to use a lot of water, but kikuyu generally needs like 25 mils a week. Now, without rain, to water 25 mils a week is just stupid. It's an incredible, for some people it's a complete waste of water. Even for me, it's a waste of water. And at the moment, City of Tshwane has already issued notices to us saying that we're in water restrictions now again. So you need to worry about water. And I've got a borehole, and I still make sure that water conservation is right up at the top of your list when gardening, no matter where you are. So let's consider where we are now. 5th of August. I decided I'm going to bring this lawn out of dormancy, and I started by just watering the grass with a measured 2 millimeters down on the lawn, front and back. And I did that because the soil is so messed up after such a dry winter that water basically won't penetrate into the soil. So thinking back, I should have added a wetting agent with that very first watering. I should have put down the wetting agent, waited a while, and then watered that in, and then did a second water maybe a day or two later, and just sort of get that saturation in there. I didn't do that, but a similar effect is just to water it a little bit, wait a couple of days, then water it slightly more, wait a few days longer, water again. So my procedure was as follows. I watered on the 5th of August 2 millimeters. Then again on the 15th of August, so 10 days later, I watered 4 millimeters, but I put down super phosphate at maybe a quarter rate. I didn't put down a full dosage because it can burn your lawn, and we're still trying to watch, water consumption. I then raked up all the leaves, just did a bit of a general garden cleanup, and I trimmed my edges back then because I did have, some growth during winter, even with it being dry. I think that the little macro or microclimate that develops along pathways and that kind of thing means the grass grows against it, and you generally tend to hold moisture under rocks and stones and things. So grass, especially a creeping type like a kikuyu, is going to try and find that, and then it will stay healthy in those areas even during winter. Then on the 20th of August, I posted on Instagram just my progress from having started just that little bit of watering on the 5th and the 15th of August with only putting down super phosphate. I then did 2 millimeters on the 20th of August, just water, and then on the 26th of August, which was the day before yesterday, I did my first proper fertilizer. So I did an organic liquid fertilizer. I think that's the best for now, because granular fertilizers can you need to water them. And a liquid fertilizer, yes, you still need to put down the water as well, but it's going to cause far less burn, and you don't want to create stress for the lawn. And you know that for me, I'm now giving you my opinion here. For me, I know that I can't put down lots of water, so I must take that into account. So liquid fertilizer. So we've got an Air Force base near us, and now there's something big flying over me here. I can't see what that was, but it sounded nice. So for me, put down a liquid fertilizer for two reasons. One is that they generally tend to boost the soil activity, microbial activity a little bit better than granular fertilizers. They require less watering, and you have immediate contact with the leaf's surface, and the leaf itself, whether it's your flowers or whatever the case is going to be, or in this case the lawn's leaf picks up that liquid fertilizer directly because you're spraying it straight onto the leaf surface itself, and that absorption is overnight. So I sprayed it sort of midday. I let it sit until the evening, and then after 6, because of the restrictions, I watered and I put down 4 millimeters and measured 4 millimeters. And then I did a stupid thing, and I just got a beer in my bottle and I put down some 232, which is just a balanced fertilizer, and I put it down at less than a half rate. And I don't think that I should have done that, because I then had already watered. I then put down fertilizer, and I didn't water again heavily enough. I just gave it like a bit of a wash in, and now I see I've got a little bit of fertilizer burn only in one place in my yard. So either I did a slight over application there, and remember now I just said that I did not even a half rate, and I still got burn from slightly more than what was necessary. I should have just left the granular fertilizer alone. So learn from my mistakes. I've already made the mistake for you. Don't use the granular fertilizers yet. Liquid fertilizer, I used a product called Seagrow. I'm about to try out a product that I've only just picked up on called Guano Boost. It seems to be making waves here in SA. Farmers are loving the stuff. I want my soil to be good because we don't have lots of water, so I want every amount of water that I put down to be put to the best possible use, and I don't want it to be just stopping my grass from burning. So we're going to do our first mow today, and I'm going to do some edges in some areas if it's necessary, and I'm only doing it because I've been watering basically for 3 weeks, and I've done a little bit of fertilizer only 2 days ago, and you'll see the growth difference is noticeable. Those 2 days maybe even started the liquid fertilizer right away. So if you're watching this for the first time, you've done nothing for your lawn coming into spring. I think most regions, even though we're in a cold front here now in the Highveld, it's just a small cold front. I think we are expecting one again actually next week. I think it's still safe for you to do a bit of watering at night or early morning, and liquid fertilizer only. Don't use granular fertilizer. And during this process, so from the 5th of August, I've been lightly applying weed killers in certain areas just to control basically clover. I've got a bit of a clover thing, broadleaf weeds, not really a thing in my garden. In one of the beds I do have a bit now happening. But yeah, mostly just clover in my yard. So I've just taken it aggressively, just killed off the clover right in the middle of the kikuyu, just sprayed it. I took that chance, and that was like right in the beginning, that was in the 5th. And that clover's died off completely. There are some patches that are coming back. I'm just going to apply it again, but it did nothing to the lawn. Generally, you only really want to spray heavy weed killers on any lawn when it's dormant. Kikuyu is quite resilient, so that's not really a problem, but the kikuyu was now out of dormancy. It took a bit of that weed killer. It still carried on growing. I think you'd have to really, if you ever wanted to get rid of kikuyu, you're going to have to apply multiple doses of something like a Roundup, and you'd have to do it multiple times, and when it's going to be bone dry, no rain, otherwise kikuyu is going to be there to stay. So yeah, let's get to mowing. halfway. That is full. That's round 2. So I've made one pass at the highest setting that the lawnmower can do. I think I'm going to do a second one because I took a bit of grass there. I think I can take off just a little bit more, but it is looking right. Got a section of lawn. That's my third bin, and I picked up a welding rod. So that's why you use a rotary mower. But it looks like this now. I actually ended up taking the mower down 2 notches, and I decided to mow my neighbour's lawn as well to make mine look better. Oh, the sacrifices we make. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks like a very good recovery. It's right and ready. You can tell just versus the kikuyu next to me, that ain't so great. Okay, on to section 2. Don't mind all the weeds in the flower bed. This is all those weeds that I still need to deal with that I mentioned to us in one other section of the yard. So this section ended up getting mowed 1 notch higher than the roadside section, and barely picked up any clippings, but it doesn't look as dense as the roadside, so I'm not going to take it down. This little green patch over here, that is one of the areas where I have lots of untreated clover, and I'm not going to treat it now. I'm going to do it in another video, but I'm going to just wallop all of it with something very aggressive, and you'll see the grass will just take it. But this is also the section, excuse the vehicle going by, where I've picked up a bit of burn from not watering enough after fertilizing with granular fertilizer. You can still see that there's big chunks of the stuff lying around. I'm not going to do that again. Next lady for a shave. So this section is actually a kikuyu and alem berea mix. I'm going to take it, I think, at the same height as the second little section that I did, so not as low as the roadside, for the sake of the alem. But yeah, let's have a look at that. Tired now. Okay, you can see here I didn't trim there at all because it's still a bit patchy. This is coming in. This front lip here is mostly alem, but 1.5 meters, we've got kikuyu. You can tell it gets dense quite quickly. So what I've noticed between the kikuyu and the alem, growth-wise, coming out of dormancy, is that alem handles shade better than kikuyu generally. Not generally, always, but when it goes dormant, it goes purple as opposed to brown like kikuyu. But when it comes out of dormancy, it still sticks to this purple kind of look, which in a way is cool because then it makes it look slightly darker, but only at a distance. When you stand in it, then you notice it's pretty crummy. Not my favorite grass type. You have to cut it high. It's like these big blades, almost like buffalo. I'm not into these longer, thicker grasses because you don't know what's harboring under there. And also, I just recently trimmed these palms, and when they mess, it is one hell of a mess, full of those little seeds everywhere. And I'm glad I've got a rotary mower, because the amount that I picked up now, I don't know if you could hear it on the video, but there are lots that are in here, like in the soil. And I think what I'm going to have to do is, when the grass is just a little bit stronger, I'm going to have to pull it all out. Now, for any of you who have actually watched some of my previous videos, I've been off YouTube for a while, is that I was digging for a borehole that I knew was in this yard when we bought the house, but it never worked. It was sold to us not working. So I managed to find it. It was in the middle of the lawn, covered, and I managed to find the thing. I found what the problem was. It was just a wiring issue. Well, actually the waterproof junction became corrupt. You know, roots and water and mud and other crap had just gone in there, just really messed up the connection, and obviously that was creating a dead short. Because I thought it was strange, and normally if there's a load issue, then the borehole would run for a little while and then trip. But this was the instant that you flip the breaker, it tripped the whole house, everything. So it was an earth leakage type issue. So I thought it had to be wiring more than an actual short at the pump, because these pumps they're serious, they're not toys. And so yeah, I had to dig. I managed to find the wiring and the main water line coming from the borehole, and I found that it went under here, and I thought, oh hell, it's under the grass. So what I did is I just took a screwdriver, because I realized that the people that did the borehole underground, they covered the electrical cable with bricks and stones and things under the soil level, so that if you ever put a spade through it, you end up hitting the brick. Now I don't advise doing that when you're using something like PVC pipe, because the bricks over time with shifting and what have you, the actual PVC pipe itself cracks. But this is a flexible pipe that's under here, so that's fine for the water. Don't do it with your swimming pool stuff, as I said, but the electrical cable, that's a good idea. So I took a screwdriver and I wet the ground a little bit, and I just pushed the screwdriver into the ground as deep as I could, and I just felt for where I was hitting brick, and eventually I heard a hollow sound right there, and that was the lid for the borehole. And I managed to find it and dig back to about here, luckily not destroying too much grass. I destroyed a bit over there, but this is recovering very quickly. I'll try and see if I've got other pictures somewhere, and I'll put them up if I have them. But this area back here is in the depths of all the shade. This is again a little bit more alem rather than kikuyu, so the middle's kind of kikuyu, and the deeper section here is alem, and the edges seem to be alem as well. So yeah, I found my borehole, and no, I'm not overusing it. We'll see how water goes. Hello Charlie. It's just other things that I'm finding on my lawn. Now, don't blame me, I'm not the guy who planted this grass, but I am the guy who's been taking it shorter and shorter and shorter and trying to make it right. But there's batteries and cables, and earlier I found a welding rod, all sorts of stuff that's in the depths of this lawn. So yeah, good to have a rotary mower. Okay, so this is another little section of kikuyu, and then there is my main lawn area. Now, you know, there's pros and cons to me having sculpted the lawn, nice dog turd, right before winter. And the pro was that I do have a much less dense lawn, so it's easier to recover now. However, with cutting shorter, I've discovered that I've got alem in places that I shouldn't have alem, probably because seed has been carried over. And I looked at this the other day and I thought, wow, this kikuyu's got these tiny little blades, and I knew that I was cutting shorter and shorter previously, but I didn't think that the blade would come back small. Then I realized, hold on, this isn't kikuyu. I've got me some Bermuda, I think an essay that's otherwise known as quirk. But yeah, that's Bermuda in a patch that's maybe 3 meters by 2 meters, and it goes just over the pathway to here as well. This is now a bit of Bermuda there, and then the rest is solid kikuyu. There's nothing else in between there. This is a Nice section, quite weed free, but I've been working on it a little bit. That's where my dogs do their business, but it'll be gone in a couple of weeks. And when it rains, it never comes back when it rains. These beds are being worked. I'm going to change out flowers here. Those beds at the end are still being worked on as well. I've got some bromeliads in the back there, but they've just been trimmed back. They were transplanted from somewhere else, so I'm working on it. Okay, so this section, I think I'm going to go over it with the rotary and then just use my little push mower, because the grass is looking quite good here. I think I can get it cut quite low, and yeah, so let's do that. I didn't see that until it was too late. Actually looks like it's part of my other lawnmower. Small and silly, but cuts nicely. I just want to show you so I've got a couple of areas where the rotary nicked the ground, and to me that's, besides the actual cleanliness of the cut, if you can call it that, the accuracy of the cut, That's the only downside of a rotary, is that you can't cut too short. Not because the mower can't get that short, but because it does a crap job when it gets that short. It can't do what's needed, especially when the grass gets thick. You start pulling out, like here I pulled out a chunk, and you can see that clearly, but from where I'm standing it actually looks a little bit drier than what it looks in real life, but I'm happy with that. You can actually tell where the older and newer kikuyu is, or where there's uneven ground and how it comes up. So if there's a bit of a dip there, and you can see the blades are quite a lot larger, and then you get to here, that's kikuyu, nice and tight, and it's rock solid. I mean, it just needs to, still coming out of dormancy. In a week or so this is going to be cleared up and looking pretty good. And then I've noticed just a bit more, that's Bermuda, and then kikuyu in between. So I just decided to leave that and see who wins. But yeah, I like the fine blade on the Bermuda. I might actually actively give this a try. Not sure yet. Let's see what happens. Just want to show you, here's where I had clover all the way from the wall up to about here, coming all the way around, and you can see I've killed it off, and the grass right next to it is perfect. Well, yeah, there was even clover in there, and I just took the lawnmower over now. A bit of a mound there, so I ended up sculpting it, but so what. And yeah, that's all now getting cleaned out, and hopefully that will be, well, that won't be the end of it, it's clover, it will come back, but hopefully it'll be greatly reduced. Let's carry on mowing the rest. But how's that line? That's quite cool. A little bit of sculpting down there around the trees as well, but that's expected. I've still got a lot of, well, I've taken out a bunch of roots there, but there's still quite a lot that's going to come out, and as you can see, it's growing pretty well even under the trees. I've got a couple of tricks for that, for those who sickle with grass under trees. But yeah, let's do the rest of this. And also, one more thing, you can see I've not taken this lightly, I've cut off a lot. This is like a bit of a hefty mow, but needed. Oh, still got a lot of leaves to clean up. Whew. Okay, so I'm done. I am so glad that I sculpted this lawn before winter, because the amount of bins of cuttings that I took out now, okay, it included leaves, but it was an enormous amount, and I cut a bit shorter than what I wanted to cut. I don't advise it for everyone, but I can see there's a lot of green under here. I don't know if you can see it properly in the video, but I'll try and show you now. There's a lot of green, so I'm confident it'll be fine. Plus it's still a bit chilly today. I think at the moment we're sitting at about 15 degrees Celsius, so it's okay. And next week it looks like we're gonna have a cold front, so cooler temperatures. I'll put down a bit of water, everything should be fine. But yeah, thanks for joining me. Please like and subscribe, and I'll keep you up to date in a couple of days. I think I'm going to do another mow just to keep things clean and get all these little bits of debris out. Yeah, thanks again. Cheers.